This is from the Western that you're
Yeah,
doing.
I'm going to do a pick about the Western now. Yeah. And normally my technique is very simple because I really, when you work for Marvel with such a tight deadlines, as I want to do my own inking because it's important to me, I normally do very sketchy pencil, normally. And after that, I do most part of the work with the inks. And normally what I do is using graphite pencil, and then I scan them in the computer and print it in blue for inking in another page. And that way I can keep the pencil too.
That's what I do as well,
Yeah.
actually. I think a lot of people work like that these days.
Yeah, because you can adjust the intensity of the blue, and it's very transparent. It's very easy to eliminate after that with Photoshop. So I particularly don't like light tables. I don't like using them because like drawing over and over a thing is I always have the feeling that I lose a lot of strength. So normally I really try to do as much as immediate work I can. The same happens to me when I read the scripts. Normally, when I receive a script, normally I read it once as a whole, and the second read I'm already doing the storyboard, and all of that at the same time. I do all the pages from the beginning, and then when I'm back in the pages, I take a look at the first ideas, to keep some fresh air from the beginning. Yeah, sometimes I change things from the beginning, but normally it always works. So it's like a bit like more like instinct than anything else. So
That reminds me, one of the conversations I've had, because I colour other people's stuff as well, and I colour Frank Quitely's stuff, and
yeah.
Frank's one of these people where he'll do tons and tons and tons of layouts.
Yeah.
Tons.
Yeah.
And he goes through every variation he can think of, and then when he actually gets to the page, he usually finds that the ones he's done first are the ones that he goes back to and actually uses for the page.
Yeah. Actually, this summer we have a very small festival in the place where I live, in Coruña, northwest coast of Spain. Frank Quitely was invited, and I had the chance to take a look to his originals, and I almost died because I'm really a fan. And he impressed me very much because it's so clean and so accurate, and that's completely impossible for me. It's like when I have to prepare pencils for inkers, fortunately I don't do that very often. But when I have to do that, I spend so much time trying to finish the pencils, and even if I do that, there's not enough. It's very, very difficult to fulfill the details you can do with inking. So,
but Frank doesn't. Frank's actually his pencils. He's scanning them, and they're not being inked anyway. So So he's actually working like that. That's why his stuff's so finished these days, isn't it?
Completely impressed because I had the chance to take a look to some originals from Witry.
Oh right. Yeah.
And it's a crazy job. It's totally insane. It's like you see the pencils and it's like he's not from this world. Superhuman.
He's quite good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better talking about other comic artists than me,
that's all right.
Well, I can talk a bit about Pretty Deadly if you want. The series is a western. And when I was working with Kerry Sue in Osborne for Marvel, we ended up knowing that we were almost like sisters because we are so much alike, and we really enjoy the same kind of things, and we are a lot into Japanese movies from the 70s and all that stuff about vengeance and violence and all that. And we really wanted to do something together. He made me a proposal about doing some creator-owned work because normally when I work for Marvel or I know there are other people who doesn't like to talk to the writers, or that they only talk to editors. And in my case, I really need to talk with the whole team and copying everybody, even the colorists in the benches, to discuss things, because I come from a small press scenario in Spain, and I used to do fanzines, and when you do work on your own, it's very different than when you do work with a team. And I really need, when I work with somebody else, I really need to put the people in contact and talk about the book. If there's time, yeah, okay, I understand that sometimes when you are doing maybe a filling or things like that, it's not worth it, but when you are preparing something, well, I always try, and I was very lucky with my teams because everybody reacted great and everybody answered.
Do you think that's, because I found that, and maybe you could say something about that as well, because you've worked with Mark Wade recently quite a lot,
Yeah.
and you obviously know Mark from hanging about with him.